Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me, Amanda T from Create Your Future. I am so grateful you're here. I intend that you all like, share, subscribe, and comment down below. You guys, I just want to go over some quick success stories on this visualization video. But before I dive in, I am still 50% off one-on-one coaching. And then go ahead and check out our free course on how to manifest anything quickly and get past those blocks. So you guys, I've wanted to make this video on visualization for a very long time. Because I find a lot of people tend to really struggle with visualization. And here's some of the ways I have been able to bring success to myself and to my clients. Oh, success stories first, though. So the first one is my client from She Gets Everything She Wants Now. She really is getting the hang of everyone as you pushed out. We had our weekly session. She said, I wanted a public apology from this person. We talked about it. She visualized it. She affirmed for it. And wouldn't you know, by Sunday, this woman, because it was at church, stood up in front of the entire congregation and apologized for her behavior, because that is what my client wanted and that is what happened. So she's really getting the hang of this. She's becoming so great at it, and we're just expanding and expanding. So congratulations. Also, another client of mine, we've been manifesting abundance, and actually scarily, she thought it was going the opposite direction, but she knew it wasn't done yet. And she told me, she said, Amanda, I just chose, like I made a decision. It was very distinct for her, very different than her other manifestations. She just knew it had to go a certain way. It wasn't boo-hoo. It wasn't, I'm going to worry about this. It's, I'm going to get my money back. So what had happened is there had been a miscommunication, like with the bank. It's in another country. But from what I understand, it was like a savings account, and then like the bank took some of those funds. And so let's say it was like $150 or something like that. And so she wanted that money back, and she decided that she was going to get it back. And she actually made a profit on her loss. So she goes to her accountant. The accountant says, oh, I was going to open an account and refer someone. And if you do this with me, like I'll give you half of the money, because it's like a referral program type thing. And so she goes ahead and does that. It was like right after. So not only did she get her money back, but she got more money on top of it. She actually made a profit off of that. So that was really awesome too. Good for you. Okay, you guys, visualization. So how can I tell if I'm visualizing versus daydreaming? That's really important. So it's actually pretty obvious. If you're trying to, let's say you and your SP are in no contact, and you are trying to visualize them texting you or calling you, and you can't, you just feel, you put it out in the universe and it instantly hits the wall. Nope, type thing. But you're over here at the same time being able to see you guys going out to a romantic dinner. You guys are swimming with dolphins. You guys are going on a romantic drive or something like that. But you have resistance to the text. That tells me all I need to know. That is going to be daydreaming. The other is a manifestation that is hitting a block right there, because that should be just as easy. Getting a text, getting communication. If you can visualize and daydream that this person's in your future, but you don't believe that this person is actually going to be in your future, you feel that resistance, which never feels good, doesn't feel good for anybody, you can tell right away. So actually just try. Can you feel your XP, SP? And this is a very general one, but it tends to be the one that comes up the most in my sessions. That's why I'm using it, because of hot and cold behavior and labeling, which I'm going to do another video on soon. But if you can visualize the text coming in or not, or consistent messaging, consistent sort of care that you want to receive from SP, that tells me a lot of the difference between whether you're actually visualizing and manifesting, or you're visualizing and it's a daydream scenario, depending on that. So go ahead and try that. And then, so if you do that, side note, say you are trying to get a text from this person and you keep visualizing, because it seems to be really difficult for clients, you know, that they just don't believe that it's going to come on their phone. There's so much past history. There's so much resistance. There's so many limiting beliefs, basically, that seem to come up. So you're going to need to persist. That's the one you need to persist in. That needs to be your closest end then, for example. And I would suggest, you know, visualizing that over and over. And you need to also be in the attitude to receive it. You can't be living in the old story. If you're visualizing them making contact and constant contact, you're not living in the old story. You're like, yes, I knew they would reach out to me. Oh God, they love me so much. They just text me all day, every single day. Oh my gosh, I used to have to beg them for a text. And now I'm just like, I'm busy. I can't talk right now. Visualizing being in a receiving energy, not in this resistance energy, not in past energy. Really see yourself being, jumping for joy, celebrating the manifestation that you got them to message you, that you're open enough to receive, that your heart isn't blocked off in that way. Because that's really what it is. It's a protection mechanism. So you're putting resistance out there because you're worried about getting hurt again. At the same time, this is what you want. You have to be just open to it and let the past be in the past. And so I always encourage my clients, especially if that's one of the areas that they need help in, to break through that until they can actually get that visualization and feel good. Feeling good about it when you're visualizing and receiving the text, that's half the battle, other than them just sending it. So one of the methods I like to use, I call it the breakthrough method. I've used this for a long time. And I don't use it like, this is not something I would do every single day. You're not going to argue with someone every single day. You don't want to pick fights with someone every single day. But let's say you're broken up. Let's say there's fears about the past or something like that. And you're trying to visualize or affirm, and it's going out. But when it comes back, you're hitting the wall. Let's say, for example, they cancel plans and have been hot and cold or something like that. We'll throw some things in there. Let's say that's been going on. So let's say SP comes around, and this is just all in your head, by the way. And they come around and you're like, well, why didn't you, what's a good example for this? Basically you're arguing with them. And that's what I don't want to say. It's I don't want to say argue with them, but it really doesn't matter. If you're feeling resistance, if your feelings are hurt, if you're being upset, I am the best thing since sliced bread. I am number one. I am the best girl that's ever going to be in your life. I know that you want me more than anything in the world. You can't treat me like this. And if you're feeling that block, if you're getting the same resistance that you're used to, any sort of an excuse, whatever they come back with, because it's just projection of your assumptions, whatever they're going to say. However, if your assumptions are negative and based in the past, what we really need to do is break through. And so I talk about it in my 3P Gone in a Flash video with Amanda M, that I would visualize SP being oh my God, I'm so sorry. I can't believe I did that. And I'm up here on my pedestal with a huffy puffy, on my high horse. I'm the best thing. How could you do that to me? I know, you're so right. Because I had to get there. I wasn't there right away. At first, there was resistance of whatever I had been assuming or thinking at that time. So I would put it out and I would say my piece. This is actually supposed to be a wall. And then the manifestation came back and it would hit my limiting belief wall of whatever I assumed, kind of like the peanuts, that want, whatever BS I had assumed that had created that situation, or a hot and cold situation if you're in that sort of scenario. Whatever it was, no, not good enough. Go and do it again. I'm the most amazing woman. I am so incredible. You're going to treat me like a prince. Nothing is going to, everything's going to be different now. And then once they come back saying, yes, everything's going to be different now. I love you so much more than anything else in the world, baby, or, whatever you want them to say. I got you. It's done, because I wasn't actually attacking them. I wasn't actually mad at them. I'm not actually going after that. I'm going after my assumption, my projection that I've had them put then on me, reflect back to me. That was the word. So I'm breaking it and I'm breaking it and I'm breaking it. I am the best. I am the best. I am the best. And you are going to do this. And I am going to manifest you this way. And once I know, and it only takes a few minutes, once I've got them saying the things I want them to say, I do love you, I this, I that, I miss you, it's done. I got you. I don't actually need to do that again. I don't have to go back to that. I can then just normally affirm regularly. They love me more than anything. They call me all the time. We talk all the time. We're planning a function with our family or whatever it is. It's just about breaking through that. I have a video on it. Rejection is projection. So whatever you have projected in that rejection, I'm breaking through that, saying, no, that is a lie. That is not the truth. I am, because it'll change based on scenario for each individual, right? But that's not the point. The point is you're going to I glitched for a minute, you guys. Once you break through it, it's done. And like I said, my client had tremendous success with this. She said it was hard at first. She said visualizing was hard at first completely. And now she said it was so easy. And that breakthrough method really helped. Go ahead and give that a shot. The other one is SAT, so state akin to sleep. I like to do this a little bit differently. I was just actually reading Neville, knowing I was going to make this video, and he does talk about the ball, or he actually suggests like looking at a picture or at the wall. And what it really does, it just allows your brain to like fade, melt everything else away as you're going to sleep in those theta and beta brainwaves. State akin to sleep can actually be done in a couple different ways. I'll get to that in a second. We're going to stay on the sleep method first, but it's more about the brain waves and just getting it in there, you know, quite quickly, quite relaxed in a way. And so I actually like to do that. I'll fall asleep watching TV, normally a comedy, because when they laugh or do something funny or there's like a loud commotion in the show, it'll normally wake me up. And so as I go to sleep, I have a timer later, so it just turns off, but so as I go to sleep, I'm going to be starting at the visualization closest to what I need. And I will probably feed it more like a daydream, but it would be really detailed and not that long. I'm not actually going to be doing scene to scene to scene, because the point is that you'll drift to sleep, wake up, and then do it again. So there's times if I have the TV on a little bit louder, I can wake up, you know, if I'm tired every few minutes. So I can really get it in there. I can't tell you how many times it's like, oh, I just thought about that last night. It was such a good dream. Like I'll forget that I was doing that. It's like, oh, I dreamed about that. And then it happened the very next day. Stuff like that. So that's the way I like to do SATs. Another way, like I said, because it's more about the brain waves, that was actually the kind of the point of that, in order to get it in. When I'm driving or when I'm gardening, or, you know, I have clients that do artwork and stuff like that. Or I've said, get a coloring book and color. It's more about, you know, your hands in this case. If your hands are busy, or everybody knows when you're like driving and all of a sudden you're home, because like you've done that road so many times, all of a sudden you're home and you're like, oh my God, how much, like, I didn't even realize I just got here. That's such a time to be manifesting. I have had the 12-hour manifestations, turn around, because I'm not focused on anything else. It's just access to my brain. So especially when I garden, that's when I'm really going in there and doing a deep visualization of the same scene, and then I'll loop it over and over again. I've had people say things to me word for word, doing it that way, and so quick, such a quick turnaround. So go ahead and give that a shot. Always get an activity. That's one of the number one things I suggest for clients. Get an activity, hands-on, make it baking, make it cooking, tinker with your car. I don't care. And then go there to manifest. Incredible. I'm sorry, you guys, such internet issues today. I've probably filmed this video for hours now, and I still have to edit it because it keeps cutting out. Okay. Last but not least, and I've kind of touched on this, but make sure your end is the proper end, you guys. Make sure that it's actually in a good place. So if you're in no contact, but you're walking down the aisle with SP, no, take it, bring it closer. They need to be contacting you. They need to be calling you. That needs to be the end. Move the goalpost closer. It's going to feel like a fantasy. It's going to feel like you're crazy. It's never going to happen, because you're going to be manifesting them for a reality that is so far away. That's so in the brain. It is possible. I don't want to say like never say never. Like that is definitely possible. However, with clients and with coaching and even with myself, I can tell you sometimes if the end is that far away, that's going to cause a problem, especially if you're like in no contact, especially if things are hot and cold. And then you're imagining this blissful union, which is great, which is incredible, which you can have. But if it's that far from reality, you need to make your reality a little bit closer. That way it's more comfortable. It's easier to manifest. And then you just move the goalpost a little bit further away. You reach that. You just have a goal, right? So if you're in no contact, you should just be manifesting contact. You know, I actually like to see the conforming happen. I don't always like a big quantum shift. I want to see that they're going to be investing in me. I want to see them chasing me. I want to see them proving their worth and stuff like that. if we were to break up or in a hot and cold situation. I might have them take weeks spoiling me and doing all these things before I might recommit. And you should really have fun with the 3D as it conforms and just move the goalposts. And now that they contact you all the time, how great is that? Now you guys can meet each other's families. Now you guys can move into each other's houses, and then you're going to get married someday, if that's your goal, of course. So just make sure your end is in like a proper proportion to where you are in your 3D reality in order to respect that reality and to have it come closer. Make it the next step. Make it easier on yourself. If the next step is contact, how easy is that? The universe can be like, oh, let's slide that right in. Let's just get that cracking versus a wedding, which would be really far away. Well, you know, depending, like I said, never say never, but it is much easier for my clients and myself if you move that goalpost closer. Also, make sure you don't have resistance to what you're putting out and it's coming back to you, and it finally comes back and you are still mad about the past, or you're still, you know, wondering if it's going to back. You really have to kill that old story so that when your visualization comes, in your visualization, you should be excited to receive. Again, let's take texting, because that's just been such one with my clients lately. I'll talk about visualizing a text, and they'll literally do that. Like they'll take a breath and you can see them like hold themselves ready, because your body keeps the score, right? So they'll like take a deep breath and it's like, oh, well, that's some nice resistance there, isn't it? So when you're visualizing them making contact and doing these things, you're actually going to want to see yourself being excited about it, being happy about it, taking it for granted. They talk to you so much, you're like, can't talk right now, working, got to put my phone down. You know, I've had so many SPs where I'm like, I don't have 5 hours to talk to you. Like, I've actually got to go. Like, I got things to do, you know, because they're texting and texting so much. So make sure that you see them doing that and that you're receiving it. You're open to receive. You're not putting that resistance out there. If you're visualizing and feeling or showing resistance in the visualization, that's what's happening in reality. So you want to visualize them messaging you and you being happy about it and you receiving it and you being able to go to the next manifestation, because now you guys are in contact and it's going to be real so fast, versus if you're putting resistance out there. So go ahead and just make sure that, are you visualizing yourself being open to it, or are you visualizing yourself being closed off to it? I think that's it for my notes, and I intend that this video helps everyone. I love you so much. Bye.